The rise of diabetes and the role of carbohydrates in modern diets. Diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes, has emerged as one of the most prevalent chronic diseases worldwide over the past few decades. This surge correlates strongly with changes in dietary habits, especially the increased consumption of carbohydrates, particularly refined and processed ones. Historically, human diets were more balanced and varied, often dictated by local agriculture and seasonal availability. However, the Industrial Revolution and subsequent advancements in food production shifted dietary patterns dramatically, introducing an abundance of carbohydrate-rich foods into everyday life. The rise of processed grains, sugary beverages, and high-carb convenience foods has been a key driver. In the early 20th century, sugar consumption was relatively modest, but by the late 20th and early 21st centuries, it had skyrocketed. For instance, the proliferation of soft drinks, pastries, and fast foods loaded with simple sugars and refined flours became staples in many diets. These foods cause rapid spikes in blood glucose levels, placing significant stress on the pancreas to produce insulin. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, a hallmark of type 2 diabetes, where the body's cells become less responsive to insulin, allowing blood sugar levels to remain elevated. Global statistics reflect this trend. The International Diabetes Federation reports that the number of adults living with diabetes has risen from 108 million in 1980 to over 460 million today, with projections estimating 700 million by 2045 if trends continue. This isn't solely a matter of overeating. The type of calories matters. Diets high in refined carbohydrates lack the fiber, protein, and healthy fats that slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar. Modern lifestyles, sedentary habits paired with cheap, accessible, carb-heavy foods amplify the problem. In countries like the United States, where nearly 40% of daily caloric intake comes from carbohydrates often processed, diabetes prevalence has soared, affecting over 11% of the population. The link isn't just anecdotal. Studies, such as those published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, have shown that diets with a high glycemic index dominated by refined carbs increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by as much as 40% compared to lower carb, higher fiber diets. Urbanization and globalization have spread this dietary shift worldwide, with nations adopting Western eating patterns seeing corresponding rises in diabetes rates. India, for example, once reliant on whole grains and legumes, now grapples with a diabetes epidemic as processed carbs infiltrate its food culture. Reflection: potential diseases linked to the rise of insect protein in diets. As society seeks sustainable alternatives to traditional protein sources, insect protein has gained traction. Edible insects like crickets, mealworms, and grasshoppers are nutrient-dense, environmentally friendly, and increasingly incorporated into processed foods. Think protein bars, flours, or even snacks. While this shift offers benefits like reduced greenhouse gas emissions and high-quality nutrition, insects are rich in protein, healthy fats, and micronutrients. It also raises questions about potential health implications if consumption scales dramatically without oversight. One possible concern is allergic reactions. Insect proteins share similarities with shellfish proteins, such as tropomyosin, a common allergen. As more people consume insects without realizing it, for example, in ground-up form in processed foods, we could see a rise in undiagnosed allergies or cross-reactivity in shellfish-sensitive individuals. Research in allergy journals suggests that up to 6% of people with shellfish allergies react to insect proteins, a figure that could grow with exposure. Another potential issue is digestive adaptation. Human gut microbiomes have evolved with traditional protein sources like meat, fish, and legumes. Insect proteins, while bioavailable, contain chitin, a fibrous substance in exoskeletons that humans can only partially digest. Overconsumption might strain digestive systems, potentially leading to gastrointestinal disorders like irritable bowel syndrome or dysbiosis if gut bacteria struggle to adapt. Long-term studies are sparse, but early research hints at variability in how individuals process chitin, which could disproportionately affect some populations. Contaminants pose a third risk. Insects bioaccumulate toxins like heavy metals or pesticides from their environments. If industrial farming ramps up without stringent regulation, we might see an uptick in chronic conditions linked to low-level toxin exposure. Think kidney damage or neurological issues similar to those observed with contaminated seafood. The Journal of Food Safety has flagged this as a concern, urging robust safety standards. Finally, there's the wild card of autoimmune or inflammatory diseases. Novel proteins can occasionally trigger immune responses in susceptible individuals, as seen with rare cases of meat allergies from tick bites. Widespread insect consumption might unearth similar quirks, potentially increasing conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus if certain proteins mimic human tissues. Closing thoughts. The diabetes epidemic showcases how dietary shifts can reshape public health, driven by carbohydrates' dominance in modern diets. Insect protein, while a promising innovation, could follow a parallel path, solving some problems while introducing others. Its rise won't likely mirror diabetes' metabolic impact, but allergies, digestive challenges, and toxin-related diseases could emerge as hidden costs. History suggests we should approach such transitions with curiosity and caution, balancing sustainability with the nuances of human biology.